There are towers built for glory, for those who seek respect and fame. But then, there are towers that seem to be built for something else. Towers hidden in the shadows, meant to keep even the greatest players at bay. A tower so relentless, so difficult, that it feels impossible. A place where even the best obbyists to play Roblox don't dare to step in. This is Tower of Spiraling Fate, a 10th-floor behemoth hidden in the depths of Pit of Misery. A place purposefully created for the best of the best in the hardest Roblox obby game, JToH. Tower of Spiraling Fate is not like the other towers. Even after every single tower in the Pit of Misery got beaten, it still remained as a statue waiting to be awakened. For years, this tower stood unbeaten. It's as if no one was meant to reach the top, twisting and tightening with each floor. But then, two obbyists came forward, Block and Skitsuna. Each has faced the most brutal challenges and survived. They know the risks, and they know the tower's reputation, and yet something about it called to them. But here, in the Tower of Spiraling Fate, even they knew this was a whole new level. For Block, it's about pushing the limits, proving that no challenge is unbeatable. He'd spent countless hours practicing the tower, preparing for this moment, but preparation alone wasn't gonna be enough here. And then there's Skitsuna, the kind of player who doesn't just climb towers, he conquers them, one brutal floor at a time. Over a year ago now, Skitsuna verified the infamous Citadel of Infinite Void, and since then, he's been widely considered as the best obbyist on Roblox. But Tower of Spiraling Fates was a different challenge. It demands everything, and Skitsuna was prepared to give it. This is the race to beat Roblox's hardest obby. The story begins all the way back in 2020, when a popular tower builder named Seal Azulski decided to start up a new project creating a tower as hard as possible. At the time, difficulties like horrific and unreal that include some of the hardest towers ever beaten didn't exist yet. Seal just wanted to create something harder than Tower of Elongated Runs, a tower he created in 2019 that is ranked as a high catastrophic difficulty, the highest possible canon difficulty in JToH. And he did just that. Tower of Spiraling Fate's original place is actually called Tower of Plasmic, aka Crimsoneth, a popular obby and tower builder in the Roblox community. This was because Seal was highly inspired by the stuff Crimsoneth created, and that can be seen in Floor 1 and Floor 2 of Tower of Spiraling Fate. Very similar gameplay to Crimsoneth's obbies, but later on, the tower became its own thing. Seal also wanted something to be a final send-off and a message that several of his friends shared with him about the state of JToH. Originally, the message criticized Juke, the creator of Juke's Towers of Hell, the community and staff, but later on was changed to simply I love JToH. Upon asking Seal if he thought that the tower would ever get beaten, he answered with a simple, straightforward word: no. This is Skitsuna, known by most JToH players as the best obbyist on Roblox. His name first started buzzing in the community when he verified Tower of Eternal Void, a huge achievement. While it's easier than the infamous Citadel of Void, Tower of Eternal Void was still a huge challenge. Citadel of Void is legendary, an insanely difficult nil difficulty tower that's seen as practically unbeatable. For many, it's a symbol of what's impossible in the community. That's why towers like Tower of Eternal Void and another one we'll talk about later were created, to give players a chance to face something similar, just within reach. Tower of Eternal Void is a version of Citadel of Void's first 10 floors, made easier, but still no walk in the park. And Skitsuna he became the first to beat it, a feat that sent ripples through the JToH community. From that moment on, many saw him as possibly the best JToH player ever. But it wasn't just JToH fans paying attention. In October of 2023, Skitsuna took on a new challenge that caught the entire Roblox community's eye: Citadel of Infinite Void. This is the Citadel I hinted at earlier. Designed after the 12 remaining floors of Citadel of Void, it was the first Unreal difficulty tower ever beaten on Roblox. And for good reason. Most thought it couldn't be beaten. Yet, Skitsuna managed to do it. This was a huge moment for the community. Just a few years back, the idea of anyone actually beating an Unreal difficulty tower seemed impossible. But Skitsuna did it. In the months that followed, Skitsuna continued to conquer other incredibly difficult towers, like Tower of Blind Fate and Tower of Malefic Nuisances. Each victory added to his reputation as a legend in the JToH community, but he was beginning to see the first glimpses of what would become the toughest challenge of his entire obbying journey. In February of 2024, Skitsuna decided to throw a few attempts at the Tower of Spiraling Fates, just for fun. Even though he wasn't fully committed, he managed to reach floor 6 in only 2 segments, meaning he fell once. A major accomplishment considering how difficult this tower is. Reaching floor 6, even in 2 segments, showed just how far Skitsuna's skill had come. This became his best run on the tower at the time, and he felt satisfied with the progress he'd made. After these attempts, Skitsuna moved on to focus on other towers, leaving Tower of Spiraling Fates behind. At that point, it was just another run in his journey, though it hinted at something more. Little did he know, this tower would come to challenge him in ways he hadn't yet imagined. Skitsuna had completely forgotten about Tower of Spiraling Fates during his time away. However, as he returned to it, he found it surprisingly doable. With the skills he had developed, the tower no longer felt impossible. Ready to give it his all, Skitsuna was eager to dive back in and see how far he could go this time. And on August 30th, 2024, he did this. He had set the first of many world records on the Tower of Spiraling Fates, reaching floor 5. Skitsuna disliked floor 1 of the tower. For him, it was really infuriating and annoying, although he hadn't yet reached the most difficult floor on the tower that would go on to cause so many emotions and surprises. After reaching floor 5, Skitsuna stopped playing Tower of Spiraling Fates for a bit. And that's when, out of nowhere, on September 21st, this happened. Boomsasak, widely considered as the best obbyist in 2023, known for beating and verifying obbies such as Back There Benjamin, decided to take on the challenge for himself, and made it all the way to floor 6. During this time, people expected Skitsuna to be the only one grinding it, but seeing Boomsasak make it to floor 6, the race was on. The race to beat Tower of Spiraling Fates. And just 3 days later, Skitsuna was back at the Tower of Spiraling Fates, and managed to achieve a run to floor 6. In this section, players completely lose their ability to jump, which creates an interesting yet frustrating gameplay experience. This mechanic hadn't been practiced as much as a regular gameplay, so it posed a unique challenge. Obbyists would need to find a way to navigate this section if they wanted to conquer JToH and beat the tower. Skitsuna knew that mastering this part was essential, but luck was also a huge requirement, and Skitsuna didn't get much of it on floor 6. And after this run by Skitsuna, things got really interesting. Floor 7 had finally been reached, but it wasn't Boomsisak or even Skitsuna. An obbyist named Block had arrived. Monster is a Block, or simply Block, had gained massive recognition in January of 2024 after verifying Sharp Mint, a version of the popular tiered obby Mint Skies that is known for its janky and messy gameplay as well as the 5 stages or checkpoints it contains. Sharp Mint is simply Mint Skies, but without a single checkpoint. After verifying the obby, it got ranked in as the second hardest tiered obby ever beaten, so Block looked for something harder, and his next goal was going to be IKEA Tower. At the time considered harder than Citadel of Infinite Void, this completion would be unreal, and Block, being a fairly new obbyist who's risen through the ranks, destroyed it, and it got placed as the hardest tower ever beaten, although since then, it has dropped by quite a lot. It seemed like Block was unstoppable. Every obby he touched, he beat, and next, he would take on Stairway to Heaven, possibly the most iconic obby on Roblox. Stairway to Heaven is legendary and very difficult, on par with Tower of Spiraling Fates, if not even harder. When Block started attempting it, many brushed off his attempts and still kept saying that the obby would never get beaten. But Block proved them wrong, reaching the final stretch and then the final jump. And then disaster. Block failed the last jump of Stairway to Heaven. And this didn't only happen once. This happened 4 times. After the fatigue Stairway to Heaven caused, Block decided it was time to take a break from it, and decided to hop on Tower of Spiraling Fates for himself. In the spring of 2024, Block had already played the tower, and found many strategies for many of the jumps in it. Tower of Spiraling Fates is a tower that's based on strategies, and this helped him a lot. During this time, he had managed to reach the end of floor 5, although he never ended up publishing the progress video or even talking about it, so Block had prior experience with the tower, and this time he wanted to beat it. And only 2 days after taking a break from Stairway to Heaven, he reached floor 7, a new world record. But the race would keep on going. Skitsuna then posted a progress video reaching the end of floor 7, but Block immediately struck back by reaching floor 8. They were slowly but steadily nearing closer and closer to the hardest floor in the entire tower, floor 9. Floor 9 of Tower Spiraling Fates is very brutal. Compared to the rest of the floors, it's a complete nightmare. The sheer length and difficulty of the floor is insane. After asking Block and Skitsuna which were the 3 hardest floors for them, the first answer from both was floor 9, and it was finally reached on October 8th by Skitsuna. In floor 9, the floor is separated in 2 sections by obbyists. Outside, this is the start of the floor, and it's outside the main and more intense middle section. After completing the middle section, you have pretty much beaten the obby, since floor 10 is extremely easy and almost unfailable. During this time in the grind, both obbyists would be streaming the tower a lot, and sometimes even doing stuff like this. And at times even getting over 1,000 concurrent viewers, especially when getting deep runs into floor 9, like Block did on October 13th, where he made it to the middle of the outside section. It was clear that the completion could be any day now, and the community was waiting for who would make it happen. After many floor 9 runs by both hobbyists, Skitsuna did this on October 20th. This was the 4th last jump of floor 9, being only mere seconds away from beating Tower of Spiraling Fates once and for all. But this jump was difficult. If Skitsuna were to fall near the end, this would be the jump. Next time, he surely wouldn't mess it up. Skitsuna failed the third last jump of the tower. The jump, maybe not to average players, but to obbyists like Skitsuna, was very easy. But under all the stress, Skitsuna crumbled and failed the jump, which would now take the place as the worst fail in Roblox obby history. Skitsuna was so close to glory, yet so far, and after this fail, he would lose the drive to keep going. Almost a week later, Block started up yet another Tower of Spiraling Fates stream. Many expecting the same, obvious streams for 2 hours, gets to floor 9 and fails. But this stream felt different. Block was seriously on fire. As the stream went though, many chatters were pointing out what Skitsuna had posted on his community post on YouTube. Skitsuna had announced that he was probably done with the tower and obbying in general, stating that beating Tower of Spiraling Fates was the last thing he really wanted to achieve, and he was satisfied with reaching the third last jump. The community was devastated, but accepting. Skitsuna had showed the community what he could do, verifying towers like Tower of Eternal Void and Citadel of Infinite Void, and he would always be considered as a JToH legend. But Block was still going, and 3 hours after this post, Block was yet again on floor 9, this time breezing through the obstacles. It seemed like he might actually do it. With each second, the greatest race in Roblox obbying history was coming to an end. And then, at 3 hours, 54 minutes, and 22 seconds into the stream, Block completed the last jump of floor 9 and verified Tower of Spiraling Fates. With legends like Khan 2005 and almost 2,000 people watching Block live, history was finally made, and Citadel of Infinite Void was finally dethroned after Skitsuna verified it on October 13th, 2023. The race to beat Tower of Spiraling Fates was one of the best in Roblox obbying history. The whole community came together to support Block and Skitsuna, and like that, the new hardest obby on Roblox was finally conquered. It's important to mention that Skitsuna won't be retiring from obbies just yet. He wanted to fulfill his goal of finally beating Tower of Spiraling Fates, and you can watch him and his streams as he attempts to do so, which will most likely be happening soon. His channel will be linked in the description, as well as Block, who will now switch his attention back to Stairway to Heaven, and finally beat it after failing the last jump 5 times now. His channel will also be linked in the description, and with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd really appreciate if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one.